Hey, it's Sean Cooper again, and welcome to Module 3. In this module, I'm going to show you how you can create deep connections with women and with girls, the types of connections that can often make them want to be your girlfriend. And definitely, before you can even think about sleeping with a girl, she has to feel like she has a type of connection with you. Here's a diagram that I showed you last week. In this diagram, as you can see, Module 1 on the side taught you all about the mindsets of how to be attractive and how to be non-needy and how to think about sex and so on and so forth. And those mindsets are useful all throughout talking to a girl, everything from the approach all the way to sleeping with her and even to having her as a girlfriend. When you have those mindsets that I showed you in Module 1, everything's going to be a lot easier. And then in Module 2, I talked about how to attract a girl using different techniques. And those are extremely important to use in the first few minutes of talking to a girl you like. So those techniques are everything from doing pushes, doing teases, making your conversations more interesting, using techniques like role-playing, eliminating mistakes in your nonverbal communication, like having good eye contact, having dominant vocal tonality, and so on and so forth. Once you use these techniques, you'll find that pretty often girls will become attracted to you. At that point, it's time to move on from the attract stage of the conversation and move into a conversation that allows you to build connection and comfort with the girl. And while the attract stage may only be 2 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, getting to know a girl is the majority of the conversation. It can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours or maybe 2 to 3 dates. That's the reason why this module is very important, because what I've came to realize is that there's different stages to talking to a girl. So, of course, first there's the approach, which I haven't really talked about yet. Then there's, getting her attracted. And in that stage, you have to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more funny, and a little bit more interesting to kind of hook her attention. And then once she's attracted, then you have to move on from that type of conversation, and you have to get to know her. So when you enter this connect part of talking to the girl you like, there's going to be a shift in the conversation. It's going to shift from you being a little bit more confident, funny, and a little bit more interesting using the techniques I showed you to get her initially attracted, and you'll tone down the energy quite a bit, and you'll take the focus off of yourself and put the focus more on her. See, one thing I noticed when I started teaching guys how to, be more attractive to girls using those types of techniques I showed you last week, is that guys would often get stuck using the techniques even when the girl was already attracted. And I think the reason why is because when you tease a girl or when you do a role play or, any other technique that I showed you, very often she's going to smile at you, she's going to laugh or giggle, and she's going to look like she likes you. And for any normal guy, that's going to make you feel good. So you're going to want to keep poking her with these techniques to get more positive reactions. But if you do this too much, you're basically stuck being her entertainer. You're stuck in this, it's a funny, playful conversation, but it's not good to have that type of conversation for too long, because you can't get anywhere with a girl unless you do get to know her. And by toning it down and by having a more serious conversation, it basically turns you from some kind of funny entertainer, even some attractive entertainer. It turns you from that guy into a regular person. And the time I usually start to connect with the girl, the time I usually go into this next phase of the conversation, is when I see that she's attracted. When I see that she's, into me already, I figure, I don't really need to do that much more techniques for attraction. Now it's time to get to know her and, find out what's cool about her. What I've also found is that it's usually best if the girl that you're talking to initiates the connection phase. What I mean by this is when you get good at attracting girls using, your nonverbal communication and the other techniques I showed you, and the girl becomes attracted to you, what you'll find, and what I've found, is that girls often start to try to connect. So they often start to ask me questions like, what's your name, where are you from, and other questions about me. So anytime I'm talking to a girl, and let's say I tease her and I do a role play, and I'm making very good eye contact, and then she starts to ask me a question about myself, like, what do you do? I know that she's attracted, and she wants to get to know me now, so I take that as a sign to shift out of trying to attract her into the second stage of the conversation of getting to know each other. And I also want to point out that if you're an introvert, then this module is going to be very, very good news for you. Because in order to connect and build comfort with a girl, then it's actually very useful to be an introvert. See, for example, my personality is typically more low energy. I'm not always super happy or super energetic. Even when I'm talking to people, it's usually similar to how I'm explaining this video to you. It's like medium to low energy. I'm not like going crazy, cracking jokes all the time. And although this type of personality isn't super great for hooking girls' initial attraction, it's actually extremely, extremely good for the connection part of dating. See, being more low energy, being more calm and relaxed, and not being too funny even or too entertaining, it's actually better for connection and comfort. Low energy is more seductive. It's a lot easier to build sexual tension over time. And at this stage, sexual tension is really what you should be aiming for. It's much better to have sexual tension after you've been talking to a girl for half an hour or an hour than to have her always laughing and giggling at you. And I'll talk more about this a little bit in this module and even more in a couple of modules. So what you're going to learn in this module is how to carry conversations. If you've ever run out of things to say or gotten a blank mind when you're talking to a girl, I'm going to show you a couple of simple techniques that can allow you to talk and talk and talk basically for hours with a complete stranger if you wanted to, just by following some simple steps. And I'll show you how to avoid a bunch of conversation killers that a lot of shy or nervous guys make when they're talking to girls. I'll also show you how to be present. This means I'll show you how to be present to the moment when you're talking to people. See, if you're an introvert, then chances are you're often in your head. You're thinking about something. You might be thinking about the past or the future, or you're thinking about some abstract idea in your head or about something you read or a movie you watched, or if you're talking to a girl, you might be thinking about what she's saying and what you know about it. And all this thinking actually takes you out of the present moment. And in case you don't really understand what I'm saying here, I'll definitely explain a lot more about this later, and I'll show you how you can become very present when you're talking to a girl. And this is what will allow you to really listen to her in a way that connects very deeply. And this is really like an amazing technique, and it's a secret that almost nobody knows about. I'll also show you how to express yourself with vulnerability. See, although it's very important at this stage to get the girl to talk a lot about herself and to put the focus on the conversation more on her, it is also crucial that you know how to strategically share certain parts of yourself so that the conversation isn't just one-sided, so she doesn't feel like you're just interviewing her, and so she can really feel like she knows you really well in a relatively short period of time. And by being vulnerable in the right way, the girl will actually see you as being one of the most confident guys that she's met in her life, even if you are more on the quiet or shy side. Another thing I'll show you is how to get to know her in a way that makes her feel like she earned your interest. See, a lot of guys, when they talk to a very attractive girl, they're immediately won over by her looks, and she can sense this right away. But the thing you need to understand is that people only value what they work for. So she needs to feel like she earned your interest somehow. And this is the best way I know of to create a quick bond. It's when she feels like you like her for reasons other than her looks. And this has nothing to do with finding commonalities, like having bands or favorite movies in common, like what most guys try to do. Alright, so I'll be sharing a lot of awesome information with you in this module, so let's begin.